is difficult for people to answer. Ask yourself, how many children, how many kids have you eaten? I want us to have back-to-back without interruption. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker is going to be speaking to us on agriculture too. Please make welcome Samson Ogole. Please put your hands together for him.
Let's look into the future together, shall we? Looking around the cross-section of this room, in another 10 years, majority of you will be married. 20 years from now, out of 10 of you, 4 of you will not have kids. 4 will have kids with varying deformities. 1 will be dead. And only 1 would have a healthy kid. Now, to ensure this is true, this is Bode community, Ikadarama area of Bayelsa State. This is their river, overflown by oil spillages. Most of their fishes are dead. Now, for the few that still have fishes in their river, when you take the fish and cut the fish open, you will see crude oil coming out from the fish, which they will go on to cook and eat. Because the alternative for them is starvation. Now, the proof that those in government knows what is happening is the signage to it, telling people, do not swim or fish here. As though the water bodies are not polluted enough. This is the Niger Delta region, gas flaring. Despite the fact that gas flaring has been banned since 1984 worldwide, we'll still practice it in Nigeria, releasing sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide to the atmosphere. Now, this is equivalent to you living in a burning building 24/7. This is worse because you realize the sulfur dioxide and the carbon monoxide is going to react with water during rainfall to form what we call acidic rain, thereby destroying the integrity of the soil. I am a farmer. Food is important. Food is needed for the survival of human race. However, the process of food production today in Nigeria is detrimental to both man and the environment. Deforestation has become the norm as farmers are in search of fertile virgin land to grow their foods. When you go to Jigawa State, for their bakeries to produce bread per day, they spend a whole log of wood. Today, Jigawa State has 300 bakeries. Thus, we have bakeries cutting down 100,000 trees just for the production of bread. As though this is not bad enough, we have bush burning that farmers also engage in as a means to prepare their land. I know somebody would say, cut down a tree, plant another. But the question is, how effective is the planting of the new tree? Do not forget that the tree is responsible for mopping up the carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. When you plant a new tree today, it will take at least 25 years before that tree gets to full maturity. Before the tree gets to full maturity, we would have carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide built up in the air. Much more than that. The tree is responsible for holding the particles of soil together such that erosion does not overtake the area. Climate change is a reality. This is not a future threat. It is a present reality. As individuals, we must be able to connect the dots between climate change globally, water scarcity in the north, energy shortages in Nigeria, global health issues, food security, and women empowerment. Somebody would ask, we've heard so much about climate change. How does this affect us as Nigerians? Looking at the map, this shows the vulnerability index of Nigeria to climate change. As of today, we are losing most of our land to desertification from the north. Down south, we are losing our land gradually to water. It is not unheard of in Nigeria to hear, oh, there was rain in Lagos today, and water entered the houses of people. We crack jokes about it. But the reality is, if in the next 10, 15 years, this is not taken care of, we are going to lose River State, Lagos State, and Bayelsa State to water. What does this mean to us? You are going to have people migrating from the north to the middle belt, which is one of the reasons why you have the farmer-herdsman clashes getting worse and worse. Because the herdsmen cannot grow enough grasses in their region because of desertification up north, so they need to move down south where there is enough rainfall. At the same time, as we begin to lose lands to the water bodies in the south-south region, people from here also begin to migrate. So imagine cramping 450 million people by the year 2050 in just the middle belt. As a farmer, growing crops all year round is a must because hunger is not seasonal. So food production cannot be seasonal. But the reality is, which I am sure we can all share with, in our various houses, even when you have your fans and air conditions on, there is still that heat in your house because a nation with hungry citizens. And because we cannot remain hungry, we would have to open up our borders such that whomever it is that can feed us should bring food for us. And whomever feeds you owns you. So we become well-fed slaves. Unfortunately, being well-fed slaves is not the worst that can happen from climate change. Those most impacted by climate change are the foetuses. The foetus, we have the children, the ill among us, and the elderly. The ill among us, the elderly, because their immune systems are already compromised or going down. The children, because they are still trying to develop their immune system. And the foetus, because they have to depend on their mother, on their mothers. As a farmer, what am I doing differently? Today in Nigeria, the average age of the Nigerian farmer is 60 years. In former President Olusegun Obasanjo's village, the youngest farmer in that village is 72 years old. So we need to bring youths into agriculture. But I understand, as a youth, you don't want to pick up hoes and cutlasses. So what are we doing differently? First, on our farm, we started what we call the big breath. Breath is life. But having life is not enough. If it were, people would not kill themselves. So we provide for everybody that works on the farm, we provide first bread. We give them free food once you become a staff on the farm. Secondly, we provide bed, free shelter. As young graduates, undergraduates, graduation, one of your basic problems is, I don't want to go back home. I want to start my independent life. Yet, you don't have money for accommodation. Even if you have a place to squat, a visitor should spend the night. When you start spending the week, your friends start looking at you somehow. You start thinking of what to eat. How do I contribute? So on the farm, we give them free bed. We provide free bread. In addition, we provide 24 hours electricity, 24 hours internet service, and 24 hours water supply. But this is still not enough. So in addition, we push for climate-smart agriculture, where we grow our food, where we grow our plants without the use of soil. So we grow our plants either in water or in the air, because we believe that agriculture for the future must be that is first and foremost healthy for the farmer, healthy for the consumer, and healthy for the environment. I haven't told you what I am doing. The question is, what can you do? A single drop of water does not make an ocean. So alone, I can do nothing. But together we can achieve a lot. What is the state of your dustbin? Think about it. How much food in your house goes to waste? Let me put it this way. In my line of work, I have to move a lot in villages and remote areas. I went to a place to go check somebody's land. While walking around the village, I got lost in the 200 hectares of land and landed in another village. Myself and my crew, we went to knock in the woman's house, or rather in the person's house, trying to get direction. We knocked and knocked. There was a voice from inside the house, a woman's voice, but she refused to come out. So we had to tell one of the ladies with us to try to communicate, okay, please try and find out why she's not coming out. Is it a cultural taboo or something? And the woman said, the reason I can't come out is because the cloth you are seeing on the rope is the only cloth I have, and I have washed it. So I cannot come out until evening when that cloth is dry to have clothes to wear for the other days. I did not understand what I just heard, so we had to walk away, moved a few meters, and got another house. There we saw a Baba and a woman. So we told the Baba we were lost. Obviously, we realized the Baba was selling palm wine. As young Nigerian youths, we had to sit down first to drink palm wine. As we got the palm wine one cup after another, the Baba started complaining, and we were wondering what is wrong. And the Baba said, are we sure we can pay for the palm wine? We were 6 of us. And we were like, how much is the cup? And he said, the cup is 10 naira per cup. And we said, yes, we can pay. Of course, if you are used to moving in the villages or in the farms, one of the first things you do is you always have water with you. So we turned away all our water because, this is palm wine and it is fresh. So turn away the water, put the palm wine inside. When we were done drinking and taking palm wine, how much was the total bill? 150 naira. I gave the Baba 1,000 naira, and the wife started screaming that, they have come to kidnap us. That where are they going to get change? And I told the Baba, this is for you for free. Don't worry. The woman went back inside, came back with gift that was worth more than 10,000 naira in Lagos. Every time you waste food in your house, there are people in such village in Atonta in Ogun State that you are killing. Every time you throw away a sachet of pure water, your sachet will take at least 500 to 1,000 years before it will decay when you do not recycle it. For every sachet you throw away on the streets, you are causing issues for the future. You are ensuring the woman that is going to give birth to have longer child labor just because of you. What more can you do to ensure that we fight this climate change? How do you use your water? I am of the opinion, for those of us that like to release albums in the shower, please get another place for the studio. let the shower be for bathing. If possible, do away with the shower. Have your buckets. Why? 2/3 of the water you use in the shower goes to waste. It doesn't do anything on your body. Let's save water. The future is our responsibility. The future is my responsibility. Every decision you make determines the outcome of the future. Let's look into the future together, shall we? Looking across the cross-section of this room, in the next 10 years, majority of you will be married. 20 years after that, your actions today will determine how the story ends, because your everyday decision will shape the future. Thank you.
You know, I enjoyed every bit of the lecture, from telling us to follow green, if you know what I'm talking about, and telling us, you see, some of these things we are being encouraged to do is what should happen in ideal society. Why would you drink pure water and then throw the sachet? It shows that something is wrong with you. That's just the truth. If I drink pure water outside, I'll keep the nylon in my pocket. When I get home, I'll drop it in the dustbin. Serious, that's how I do. Because I just feel it's insane. How can you just wake up? Some of us, guys, anywhere you see, you titrate. I won't say more than that. We know it's man, no, but let it get home. But you have to take me to that village. Palm wine, 10 naira per cup. Yes, sir. I'll buy the whole community. Let's celebrate Sam one more time, please. That's a very wonderful one. Please, let's ensure to all these things we are learning, let's put them to use. It's of no use to learn all these things or to bring all the speakers speak to us and then we don't put them to use. It will be of no use. You will be doing yourself damage. And in future, you will know that you are not doing yourself any good. We're going to take a video now, and then I'll bring in some other speakers. We still have a lot of them that have not spoken, and they are still going to blow your mind. Morimi Ajashoro has not spoken. I know some of you, Morimi Ajashoro. How many of us remember that song? Onikaluku jeje ewure, ewure, ewure. And I not go primary school. And I dey form because na dey Lisa dey. Because na dey Lisa dey. When I can't dey form, we go primary school, not be nursery and primary school. Primary school, LA school. God bless you. All right, are we ready with the video? So those of us that went to LA primary schools, we know we have our own thing. On Monday, there are songs we do. Let me see the people that went to the same school I went to. Nike, don't fall my hand. Adenike, don't fall my hand. Iṣẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ lónìí Monday, ẹ̀yin ẹgbẹ́ wa. Put your hands together for yourself. Now go school. All those international school will not pass Ilara. And then when we close, which song do we sing? Amirele o baba, ọlọ́jọ́ òní o wa. Amirele o baba, gbogbo ẹ̀kọ́ tí a kọ́. Mo mọ̀ pé wá. Kò ṣàjẹ́ lọ́kàn wa. Àmín. We are here. We dey represent. Some people don't know it. Hey. Okay, ladies. How many of you played 10-10 when you were young? They will say they didn't play 10-10. Adenike, did you do Luske? Luske? Ha. How many of us remember Luske? You just... Do I have it? Now you throw it. Motirale. And then you'll be buying houses where they're not send you. No, those are the things we had. She encouraged us to allow our kids. Most of the kids nowadays don't know some of these things. And I remembered when I was young, I grew up in Akure. We saw airplane once in a while. I am proud to say it. And so when you saw an aeroplane, you say, aeroplane ito mi lo, ba mi ki ami eleko, eko meji oyomi, oyomi, ajawewu, ogwe bagi re. Oh God, Jesus. These things were fun for us. Let me know when you guys are ready. These things were actually fun for us. And then, you know all those white birds that fly? And then it will pull on your finger. How many of you had leke pull on your hand? Leke, bami leke. We plenty for here. We plenty for here. How many of us did this song? There is this song we used to do. Àwa mẹ́ta là ń lọ lójú títì, àpàdé sójà, ó ní ká wá wẹ̀.
Aláwa ò wẹ̀ mọ́ o, fọ́ wa létí.
Etí mi o, ẹsẹ̀ mi o, Bọ́lá bá ń gbé gàrí ọkọ. Please put your hands together for yourself. Una go better primary school. Who's it? Should I continue with all those old songs we used to sing? Let me do on. Mary lọ́mọ àgùntàn funfun kékeré kan tó ń ké igbe àlàáfíà. Pàtẹ́wọ́ fún Mary, pàtẹ́wọ́ fàgùntàn. I don't old. The people where they follow me sing this song, I don't see. I don't old. How many of you did? There was a song they ensured we sang in the Yoruba Southwest states then. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa. And nothing now remixed it. You see? Put your hands together for them. We don't know the generation where they belong. Some people. And we have some other people. All these songs. Bros. This is just 4. I said B. I don't they look at us this morning. Bros. Are you going with that ball? Bro. Sam. That's our Pami joint now. Wait. Sheon Bobo. Noise maker. Collect his number. I must collect that. That Pami is important in a human being's life. Pami is very, very important. Are we ready? We're having issues with it. Okay. Pami is very, very important. You know, it's totally green. And there are no chemicals. So I prefer to drink Pami. I don't drink beer anyway, so If I drink palm, me ò tí ṣẹ̀ sọ́lọ́. So where were we? We were talking about the songs we grew up singing. How many of you were in primary school and the teacher was dictating words, and then he or she dictated hippopotamus? You know, they said, first word, husband, book, chair, school, and then you get to word number. You know, when it's getting to word number, it's 10 words they want. The dictation is usually about 10 words or 20. Now, the teacher has gotten to 9. You now want to intimidate me that you have gone. I'll finish this one first. When it gets to 7, we now bring one word, hippopotamus. Me, I had a trick for spelling hippopotamus that time. I don't know if you are like me. H-I-P for the hippopo. P-O, P-O. I won't go too more till now. So, yes, God will help us. Please enjoy the next video.
I visit the future for a living. Not just one future, but many possible futures, bringing back evidences from those futures for you to experience today. Like an archaeologist of the future. Over the years, my many journeys have brought back things like a new species of synthetically engineered bees, a book named Pets as Protein, a machine that makes you rich by trading your genetic data, a lamp powered by sugar, a computer for growing food. Okay, so I don't actually travel to different futures yet. But my husband John and I spend a lot of time thinking and creating visions of different futures in our studio. We are constantly looking out for weak signals, those murmurs of future potential. Then we trace those threads of potential out into the future, asking, what might it feel like to live in this future? What might we see, hear, and even breathe? Then we run experiments, build prototypes, make objects, bringing aspects of these futures to life, making them concrete and tangible so you can really feel the impact of those future possibilities here and now. But this work is not about predictions. It's about creating tools that can help connect our present and our future selves so we become active participants in creating a future we want, a future that works for all. So how do we go about doing this? For a recent project called Drone Avery, we were interested in exploring what it would mean to live with drones in our cities. Drones that have the power to see things we can't, to go places we can't, and to do so with increasing autonomy. But to understand the technology, getting our hands dirty was crucial. So we built several different drones in our studio. We gave them names, functions, and then flew them. But not without difficulty. Things came loose, GPS signals glitched, and drones crashed. But it was through such experimentation that we could construct a very concrete and very experiential slice of one possible future. So now, let's go to that future. Let's imagine we are living in a city with drones like this one. We call it the Night Watchman. It patrols the streets, often spotted in the evenings and at nights. Initially, many of us were annoyed by its low, dull hum. But then, like everything else, we got used to it. Now what if you could see the world through its eyes? See how it constantly logs every resident of our neighborhood, logging the kids who play football in the no-ball game area and marking them as statutory nuisances. And then see how it disperses this other group who are teenagers with the threat of an autonomously issued injunction. And then there's this giant floating disc called Madison. Its glaring presence is so overpowering I can't help but stare at it. But it feels like each time I look at it, it knows a little more about me. Like it keeps flashing all these Brian Air adverts at me, as if it knows about the holiday I'm planning. I'm not sure if I find this mildly entertaining or just entirely invasive. Back to the present. In creating this future, we learned a lot, not just about how these machines work, but what it would feel like to live alongside them. While drones like Madison and Night Watchman in these particular forms are not real yet, most elements of our drone future are in fact very real today. For instance, facial recognition systems are everywhere, in our phones, even in our thermostats and in cameras around our cities, keeping a record of everything we do, whether it's an advertisement we glanced at or a protest we attended. These things are here, and we often don't understand how they work and what their consequences could be. And we see this all around us, this difficulty in even imagining how the consequences of our actions today will affect our future. Last year, where I live in the UK, there was a referendum where the people could vote for UK to leave the EU or stay in the EU, popularly known as Brexit. And soon after the results came out, a word began to surface called regret, describing people who chose to vote for Brexit as a protest, but without thinking through its potential consequences. And this disconnect is evident in some of the simplest things. Say you go out for a quick drink. Then you decide you wouldn't mind a few more. You know you'll wake up in the morning feeling awful, but you justify it by saying, that other me in the future will deal with that. Perhaps we find out in the morning that future you is you. When I was growing up in India in the late 70s and early 80s, there was a feeling that the future both needed to and could actually be planned. I remember my parents had to plan for some of the simplest things. When they wanted a telephone in our house, they needed to order it and then wait. Wait for nearly 5 years before it got installed in our house. And then if they wanted to call my grandparents who lived in another city, they needed to book something called a trunk call, and then wait again for hours or even days. And then abruptly the phone would ring at 2 in the morning and all of us would jump out of our beds and gather around the phone, shrieking into it, discussing general well-being at 2 in the morning. Today it can feel like things are happening too fast. So fast that it can become really difficult for us to form an understanding of our place in history. It creates an overwhelming sense of uncertainty and anxiety, and so we let the future just happen to us. We don't connect with that future us. We treat our future selves as a stranger and the future as a foreign land. But it's not a foreign land, it's unfolding right in front of us, continually being shaped by our actions today. We are that future. And so I believe fighting for a future we want is more urgent and necessary than ever before. We have learned in our work that one of the most powerful means of affecting change is when people can directly, tangibly, and emotionally experience some of the future consequences of their actions today. Earlier this year, the government of the United Arab Emirates invited us to help them shape their country's energy strategy all the way up to 2050. Based on the government's econometric data, we created this large city model and visualized many possible futures on it. So, as I was excitably taking a group of government officials and members of energy companies through one sustainable future on our model, one of the participants told me, I cannot imagine that in the future people will stop driving cars and start using public transport. And then he said, there's no way I can tell my own son to stop driving his car. But we were prepared for this reaction. Working with scientists in a chemistry lab in my home city in India, we had created approximate samples of what the air would be like in 2030 if our behavior stays the same. And so, I walked the group over to this object that emits vapor from those air samples. Just one whiff of the noxious polluted air from 2030 brought home the point that no amount of data can. This is not the future you would want your children to inherit. The next day, the government made a big announcement. They would be investing billions of dollars in renewables. We don't know what part our future experiences played in this decision, but we know that they've changed their energy policy to mitigate such a scenario. While something like air from the future is very effective and tangible, the trajectory from our present to a future consequence is not always so linear. Even when a technology is developed with utopian ideals, the moment it leaves the laboratory and enters the world, it is subject to forces outside of the creator's control. For one particular project, we investigated medical genomics, the technology of gathering and using people's genetic data to create personalized medicine. We were asking, what are some of the unintended consequences of linking our genetics to healthcare? To explore this question further, we created a fictional lawsuit and brought it to life through 31 pages of carefully crafted evidence. So we built an illegal genetic clinic, a DIY carbon dioxide incubator, and even bought frozen mice on eBay. So now let's go to that future where this lawsuit is unfolding and meet the defendant, Arnold Mann. Arnold is being prosecuted by this global giant biotech company called Dynamic Genetics because they have evidence that Arnold has illegally inserted the company's patented genetic material into his body. How on earth did Arnold manage to do that? Well, it all started when Arnold was asked to submit his saliva sample in this spit kit to the NHI, the UK's National Health Insurance Service. When Arnold received his health insurance bill, he was shocked and scared to see that his premiums had gone through the roof beyond anything he or his family could ever afford. The state's algorithm had scanned his genetic data and found the risk of a chronic health condition lurking in his DNA. And so Arnold had to start paying towards the potential costs of that potential future disease from today. In that moment of fear and panic, Arnold slipped through the city into the dark shadows of this illegal clinic for treatment. A treatment that would modify his DNA so that the state's algorithm would no longer see him as a risk, and his insurance premiums would become affordable again. But Arnold was caught, and the legal proceedings in the case Dynamic Genetics versus Mann began. In bringing such a future to life, what was important to us was that people could actually touch, see, and feel its potential. Because such an immediate and close encounter provokes people to ask the right questions. Questions like, what are the implications of living in a world where I'm judged on my genetics? Or, who might claim ownership to my genetic data and what might they do with it? If this feels even slightly out there or far-fetched, today there's a little-known bill being passed through the American Congress known as HR 1313, the Preserving Employee Wellness Program Act. This bill proposes to amend the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, popularly known as GINA, and would allow employers to ask about family medical history and genetic data to all employees for the first time. Those who refuse would face large penalties. In the work I've shown so far, whether it was drones or genetic crimes, these stories describe troubling futures with the intention of helping us avoid those futures. But what about what we can't avoid? Today, especially with climate change, it looks like we are heading for trouble. And so what we want to do now is to prepare for that future by developing tools and attitudes that can help us find hope. Hope that can inspire action. Currently, we are running an experiment in our studio. It's a work in progress. Based on climate data projections, we are exploring a future where the Western world has moved from abundance to scarcity. We imagine living in a future city with repeated flooding, periods with almost no food in supermarkets, economic instabilities, broken supply chains. What can we do to not just survive, but prosper in such a world? What food can we eat? To really step inside these questions, we are building this room in a flat in London from 2050. It's like a little time capsule that we've reclaimed from the future. We've stripped it down to the bare minimum. Everything we lovingly put in our homes, like flat panel TVs, internet-connected fridges, and artisanal furnishings, all had to go. And in its place, we are building food computers from abandoned, salvaged, and repurposed materials, turning today's waste into tomorrow's dinner. For instance, we've just finished building our first fully automated fogponics machine. So it uses the technique of fogponics, so just fog as a nutrient, not even water or soil, to grow things quickly. At the moment, we've successfully grown tomatoes. But we'll need more food than what we can grow in this small room. So what else could we forage from the city? Insects? Pigeons? Foxes? Earlier, we brought back air from the future, This time we are bringing an entire room from the future, a room from our hope, tools and tactics to create positive action in hostile conditions. Spending time in this room, a room that could be our own future home, makes the consequences of climate change and food insecurity much more immediate and tangible. What we are learning through such experiments and our practice and the people we engage with is that creating concrete experiences can bridge the disconnect between today and tomorrow. By putting ourselves into different possible futures, by becoming open and willing to embrace the uncertainty and discomfort that such an act can bring, we have the opportunity to imagine new possibilities. We can find optimistic futures, we can find paths forward, we can move beyond hope into action. It means we have the chance to change direction, a chance to have our voices heard, a chance to write ourselves into a future we want. Other worlds are possible. Thank you.
Clap now. You should either clap for two things. You should either clap that she said something that was wonderful and you picked something, or you should clap for the fact that, well, I didn't hear her, thank God she's gone. Whichever case, clap. All right, to shift us in, I just want us to have a little shift in what we're doing. We've been hearing. Now, let me ask this question. How many of us have seen a harp? Before today, like face to face, you've seen a harp. Harp. You didn't read it in the Bible. It's not the one they read that. And David was playing the harp, and Saul threw the javelin, and he now dodged it, and then you have seen a harp for real. You have seen. Okay, we know. Where did you come and confess? Where did you see it? Don't worry. We'll ask you later. So, the next speaker is a harpist. I hope I'm allowed to call you that. A harpist. Sincerely, I've not seen it before in my life. I'm just saying it. And I love the sight of it. I've always seen the picture. The fact. You allow me to touch it before I go. I don't need your permission now. So that they will ask, when you go out, they say, have you seen it? I didn't only see, I saw, I touched. It's only playing, I did not play, so that I will not cut the string. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Walter Spearheart. I hope you will teach me too. Whether when I'm playing and my enemies want to throw javelin, I'll be like David, I'll just...
Thank you very much. I grew up in a community where music was very important. So much so that every single child had the opportunity to learn one of two instruments, either the piano or the violin. In fact, in the home I grew up, you didn't have a choice. You had to learn one. And so I started learning the piano, and I had a teacher. And he was very good. But for some odd reason, I couldn't quite follow his method of teaching. Now, several years after that, about 6 years after, I had yet another teacher. And guess what? I still could not follow his method of teaching. And so perhaps it became obvious to my folks that there was something wrong with me, not my teachers. But in fact, there was nothing wrong with me because that's why we need a piano that's not electric. When I sat alone at the piano,
for the sake of proper documentation, I would like him to start all over again. So now, you have heard part of the story. So clap like you're excited to hear the rest of the story. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Spearheart Walter.
I grew up in a community where music is very important. So much so that every child had the opportunity to learn one of two instruments, either the piano or the violin. Now, in my home, you didn't have a choice. Music was compulsory. So I started with the piano as my first instrument. Now, I had a teacher and he was very good. But for some interesting reason, I could not quite follow his method of teaching. And about 6 years after that, I had another teacher, and I still could not follow his method of teaching. So my parents began to think perhaps the problem was not my teachers, perhaps the problem was with me. But I knew this was not the case, because when I sat at the piano alone, I would learn in my own way, and I would play my own music as I felt it, as I heard it from my heart. Now, I didn't quite go far with the piano. But fortunately, I had friends who had been playing the violin, and just watching them play, I took interest in the instrument. It's a very enchanting instrument. And I will share with you something I still find, but at the time I found very interesting about the violin. As small as this instrument is, it can do fantastic, wonderful things. Now, one of the most interesting things I found about the violin was something musicians call a glissando. Now, a glissando is just playing one note to another by sliding from one note to another. So it's either upwards or downwards. Now, a glissando on the piano will sound like this. That's a glissando on the piano. Now I'll show you what a glissando on the violin sounds like. Now, I found that sound very interesting, and so much so that when I played music, every phrase of music that I played, I would include a glissando. Even if it wasn't included in the music, I just liked it so much, and I did it all the time to the annoyance of my friends. So a music that ordinarily should have sounded like this. I would play it like this. Now, it will interest you to know that in the community I grew up, especially in the home I grew up, there were basically two kinds of music: classical music and others. And many of the other kinds of music were not really considered to be music per se. But then personally, I loved other kinds of music. I loved rap music. I loved hip-hop. I personally used to rap. And I also wanted to play the guitar. But it will interest you to know that in the home I grew up. The violin. Sorry. The violin and the piano were considered instruments for making music. The guitar was considered an instrument for making noise. So that was how my parents would think the guitar, when they thought of guitar, they thought of that. But I didn't want to make noise. I wanted to play beautiful music, sweet music with the guitar because I thought that it was possible. And I also wanted to sing beautifully too. Caesar's blessings, so refreshing with raindrops pouring, showers of blessings, and nature's giving these brilliant lessons, and I can't help music at a scenery that's beautiful to me. Ẹ ṣé o, a dúpẹ́. Now, perhaps we all know the expression, all fingers are not equal. It's a very popular expression. But every instrumentalist knows that all fingers are fingers because all fingers are important in the rendition of music. No one finger is more important than the other. All fingers work together in harmony towards one goal, essentially one goal, a goal of making music. And I will break it down into three. I would say beauty, balance, and perfection. The fingers don't work against each other, they don't compete, they work together towards one goal. Now, we often hear some people say that this person is talented or that person is talented simply because he's capable of expressing himself artistically, either through music or through fine art. And some will perhaps go further to say that not everyone is talented, but that is not true, because every human being is talented. Every human being has talent. By virtue of the fact that you are a human being, you have talent. Now let me talk about talent versus skill, because a lot of people confuse talent as skill. And I'll use the case of a violin. Being able to play the violin is a skill. It is something that you develop outwardly through physical exertion and practice. But being able to play the violin, to communicate feelings, perceptions, emotions, to tell stories, so much so that some other person can take away a lasting impression, that is talent. And that is not something that you develop through practice. It is something that you develop through an inner life. And I'll say this today. Perhaps one of the most profound recognitions I have from playing music is that the key that ultimately unlocks all talent is love. A life of love. Period. And there is no love without humility. So invariably, there is no talent without humility. I'll give an example of, I'll tell you a story of a very talented man I met a few years ago. I was in transit from Lagos to Cape Town. I had just landed in Johannesburg early morning, just waiting for the flight to Cape Town. And I decided to use the gents. It's a very interesting story. Now, when I went to the gents, I was welcomed by this gentleman. And he said to me, my friend, come in, please come into my office. You're welcome. And he had this spray in his hand, spray can, and a soft brush. Please, come in. Please use this place, and let me make it very comfortable for you. He went. Now, he's doing that, and I'm wondering to myself, this place is clean, it's spick and span. I've never been into a toilet facility this clean. And there he was. Please, use that place, feel comfortable. Anything you need, just talk to me. Okay. What just happened here? I'm right there, myself, my hand luggage, both of us wondering to each other, what just happened here? You see, because that is not something that we experience where I'm from, where we're from. People don't take pride in serving others, especially in a public toilet facility. Now, when I was done, I came out and I walked up to this gentleman and I asked his name. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name right now. And I asked him if this is what he did for a living. And he said, no, it's just the tips that he collects. And I didn't have any money to tip him, but I thanked him profoundly. I gave him all the generous, kind words of my heart and encouraged him, because this man had blessed me with his talent of making me, a stranger, feel like a king in his own country. That, my friends, is talent. Now, I will end this talk by saying that education, like skill, is very important. Education can be a very effective tool. It can also be a very formidable weapon, but only when it is propelled by enlightenment. Because without enlightenment, education can very easily become an ineffective tool, and it can very easily become a weapon that can bring grave disaster to everyone. So in shaping the future, I believe that there are basically two paths to follow: the path of ambition or the path of service. The path of ambition will very readily make for us a world of competition, of greed, in a worse case. But the path of service through talent will build for us communities and societies where people work together, where people are united in a common goal. A world, a humanity that is nothing short of beauty, balance, and perfection. Thank you very much.
You know, I want to do a song for him. If I were a lady, I'll do a song for him. Oh, my baelo ni o a gem my baelo. Bros, you don't answer me. And I said, if I was a lady, oh, you know, when he was playing, oh, Jesus. Sorry to ask. Are you married? No way. All the ladies where they eye, no. Now no one talk. Don't worry. God will provide another person that can play everything like this. And the person will come. Please, let's put our hands together for Spearheart Walter again. I want to bring in a male speaker, but before I bring in that male speaker, I want to use woman power. You know, women have this way. You know, they have this way. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make welcome the queen. Clap if you want to clap. Clap if you want to clap. No. All the people have been, all the ladies, all the female folks we have invited here so far have been ladies. Now it's time to bring a queen. The Queen Morimi Ajashoro of Yoruba land. And she happens to be a son of the soil. If you're a guy now, we'll say son of the soil, but a daughter of the soil from TEDxElizadeUniversity. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. You know, I'm tempted to run away. You know, Kabiesi can gbesele obìnrin. I don't want her to gbesele me. Please put your hands together for her one more time.
Thank you very much. Good day, everybody. I'm delighted to be here, and I hope you are happy too. Before I start my speech, I want to point out that every one of us here, I assume, has a career path in which we've chosen. Some of us settled for the career path we are in now, and some of us had it given to us either by our parents, our siblings, or guardians. But whatever category you are in, I want you to ask yourself what you would do differently if you have the opportunity to add your passion to what you're doing presently now. What are you going to do differently if you have the exposure that you think you don't have now? Or how are you planning to assess that exposure? So that is what I'm going to give to you first. Now, I'm going to be borrowing a line from a lady, Madia's Dubé, that says, when you look at me, what do you see? A queen? For those who know me, my colleague, do you see me as unserious engineer? Or do you see me as probably a wayward person? Or someone with a mixed faith from the religious background? Now, whatever it is that you have, or whatever notion that you have, be it the negative one, I wouldn't blame you so much, because the community has given a notion for people like me who occupy the kind of position where I'm here now. They tag us as the superficial female. Someone who they feel is materialistic, or you feel you need some certain approval to look better, or get an attainment of beauty. But in case if you've not met a smart, decent, cultural beauty pageant, it is nice to meet you. So, let me give you a little introduction about myself. My name is Queen Eyimide Sholashitu. I'm an automobile engineer in View. I'm the cultural ambassador to His Imperial Majesty, Queen Morimi Ajashoro of Ile-Ife. I'm a lover of Christ, deep lover of Christ, and I'm a respecter of culture. I'm driven by the need to support anyone and everybody that is in need, because I believe everybody has the right to live in fair, irrespective of your background. And I believe so much in the future we hope for, I hope for, and you hope for. So, all these things I've said is me putting diversity as an inclusion and discovering it. Now, don't think it's a rocket science. We all have diversity in us. Because according to Tim Holstein, it says diversity is the ability to bring in two existing components to make one new special component. That is why we have white, we have black, we have the tall, we have the short. All this is what makes this world beautiful. Right? So diversity is different in beauty. Now, diversity can seem complex. It depends from the angle in which you're looking at it from. We have diversity in education, in culture, in religion, in innovation. But the good thing about this talk today is innovation has a way of encompassing all these other forms of diversity in it, if we learn to use it right. How can we do that? When we come together and you bring in ideas of every other person around you, and you are open to learning from different aspects of life, then it will drive the innovation that we really want for the community and the nation we hope for. Now, unfortunately, research has shown us that so many people find comfortability in being the same. But that won't give us the future we want. Don't get me wrong. Homogeneous will give you a very perfect result because you're doing the same thing over and over again. But you know what diversity will do? It makes you do something differently. So now I'm going to link a little bit of diversity and innovation, starting with diversity itself. Knowing diversity is not enough, but how we can actively key into what it really is. Like I said, that is when you're open to learning. We are not stereotypic. You're open to learning from different aspects and different areas of life. And that is why you can see an auto engineer as a beauty queen. Because it shapes you differently and it prepares us for the future we want. Now, it takes me to the next step. Knowing diversity is not enough, but the ability to expect the unknown, unpredictable results. Now, some of us, most of us, myself inclusive, have had some ideas that will shape in our life. But because we overthought it, we are trying to predict what result it will bring out. We did not accomplish it. And what has that left us? The same position where we are. Now, it takes me to the next point. You should be able to execute whatever it is you're thinking. Don't be scared of failure because, believe me, failure is part of the norms. It's what should be expected. It's just showing you one way in which your idea won't work, but it braces you up for other ways in which you can achieve the dream in which you really hope for. Now, quickly, because I wouldn't want to run out of this place, I'm going to try and give you some ways in which we can develop our own self-diversity. And when we develop it, how we can make it come into a certain accomplishment. Awareness, like what we're doing today. From everybody that has spoken, through different means, poets, music, green initiative, technology, we've come to realize that we cannot achieve the future we want through one method or thought that we've been infused with. So we need to be aware about these things. Then be you. It is very important. Celebrate your uniqueness. If you dress in a different way, dress it out. Then have confidence in yourself. So many people shoot themselves in the leg because they believe they can never achieve that dream that is meant for them. It is your dream. You can achieve it. So one of the speakers said, once you conceive it, once you have a determination for it, you can achieve it. So have a great confidence in whatever it is that you believe in your own uniqueness, because there are no two of you. Then the God factor. I'm a very strong believer. And I believe in whatever it is that you work with and you put God into it, it comes to pass. Then you should work towards empowering others. When you empower people, it opens you more to that life in which you've chosen. As a matter of fact, it gives you the reason to want to do things differently. Because you are putting knowledge into the next generation that will build the future we could not accomplish, but we dream of. Then always inspire to be like a source of inspiration to people around you. But then you cannot feed from an empty cup. So inspire yourself and be a source of inspiration to every other person around you. Find a balance in the life you've chosen. I'm an engineer, I have a beauty pageant, I'm a tailor, I'm a makeup artist. I try to balance this thing and find fun in what I'm doing. You prioritize. You know you don't have time like every other person because you have a very large dream and you have to accomplish it because the change starts from you and I. And you have to work towards achieving that dream. Then try as much as possible to discover your subconscious biasness. Like, we all have this bias and like, I cannot work with a black person. If you discover it early, you'll be able to work around it, which will make you open to the changes that we actually really require of. Now, I'm going to round up quickly, but in all said and done, we've come to realize that diversity is your own currency and it's your responsibility to spend it positively. And how can you do this? By being open to so many things so that we can create a community that we deserve, a nation that we want at large, and we'll be able to maximize all the resources that is available to us globally. So key into it, accomplish it actively. And like I said, it starts with you. It starts with myself. We are the one that can make this change that we really want. In shaping the future we determine. In shaping the future we hope for. In shaping the future that we dream of. So your own currency, how are you going to spend it? Thank you very much.
Let me snap with you now. Come, Queenie. Let us, at least if it is on, if newspaper, if the press men are here, they will document it. At least it will help my own future. I am diversifying. Don't worry, I will just stay beside you. Please don't be jealous. It is my time. If I don't see it, I will skin you alive. I hope he's good. Let's put your hands together for her. Very quickly, because I know I'm keeping you guys on your seat for a while. Can you celebrate yourself, please? Celebrate yourself. Okay, let's start again. 1, 2, 3, go. It sweets my body. All right. Most of us usually use this phrase. I'm looking you on 3D. Just to drive a message home. Somebody is going to be speaking to us about 3D. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Tade Ajiboye. He's our own. Come on, celebrate him. Bros, snap us now. Bros, you tall. You are going to intimidate me. Are they looking for 3D? Snap us. I can hold this one anyhow as I like. Who will arrest me? Snap us. Advantages of being an MC.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Tade Ajiboye. Primarily, I am a student at University of Lagos, but fortunately, I'm a bit more than that. So basically, I make games. I develop games for mobile platforms, PC, anything, and I also create virtual reality experiences. So when I was asked to give this talk, I just wanted to talk about like maybe the applications of virtual reality in our community or one of all these techie talks, so to speak. But I kind of leaned towards something else. So the title for this is Set Forth at Dawn. When I think of this, it gives me different connotations. There's like the literal meaning where you like wake up really early and you actually set forth at dawn. And there's the kind of metaphoric meaning where you start preparing for things early in life. Okay, so like I said, speaking literally, I have an example of when me setting out early was really effective. So there was this day where, so a bit of background about myself. Like I said, I'm a VR developer, so I create virtual reality experiences and I work with a company called Imisi 3D. So while I did my IT with them back in my fourth year, I normally go to work, but I always end up there late. I always get there maybe past 12 or past 1, which I'm not saying you should do, but like that generally happened. Although I stayed like 10 minutes away from the place, so I really had no excuse. But at this time, I wanted to renew my passport office. My passport, yes, sorry. I had to renew my passport, and I was meant to go to the passport office, so I went home first. And I live really far away from where I work and where I stay in school. I live like an hour, 30 minutes away. So I went home the day before, and then I woke up really early that day, went to the passport office, completed, because they always waste your time, got my time wasted, completed it, and then headed out to work. And I got to work around like 9. And I was like, how do I have so much of the day left? And I could do so many things that particular day. So setting forth at dawn literally is very effective, but I'm here to talk more about it in a metaphoric manner, or not a literal manner. So I have a little video. Can you play the video, please? So I watched this video on Twitter, and it really was pretty interesting. It's about this trainer guy that trains his kids on different. Yeah, so he trains his kids different sports activities in a fun way, and it kind of was the first video that came to my mind when I decided that this was the talk I wanted to give. They are very cute, so so yeah, that's me wasting 1 minute of this talk. So basically, this kind of like shows the idea I'm trying to preach. How these kids might not, well, I think they would actually, but like because they've started learning different things so really early, they would most likely grow up to be very proficient at these particular skills. Or if not, at least they will gain the passion they need to further themselves. This guy is cute. So yeah, I think it goes on for like 10 more seconds, so let's just observe. So yeah, that's that. Next slide, I guess. It's not working. So, everybody knows this guy, yeah? He's really rich and really popular. It's Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is worth $83 million and is like renowned across the globe. Everybody knows Justin Bieber. Everybody loves Justin Bieber. But like, he didn't just become this big. I did some research, and he actually started learning how to play instruments when he was really young, like 10 or so. And by the time he was 12, he was already making covers of popular R&B songs. So by 12, he had videos up where he did covers of particular songs, and it's this, some big guy saw one of the videos and was like, hey, come and be rich. And that's basically what made him who he is now. Next person I try to use an example is Yanni. I don't think a lot of people would know Yanni, but when you think classical music, you think Still Alive. Or when I think Yanni, because he's badass in that field. Yeah, it's like really good. But like he started learning to play the instrument when he was like 6. When he was like 5, he was already practicing the piano. And he even went ahead to write his own representation of sheet music. So he doesn't play music using the conventional methods of reading like sheet music. He devised his own method and did this when he was really young, and it was really impressive. So because of the improvements he made at a very young age, he had enough time to improve further and become like who he is now. So yeah, Justin Bieber, Yanni, these are like global guys. These guys are like big, very important people. But like this also applies like right here. So like I said, and I've said like twice, I make games and stuff. So you can term me a tech person. And I hate to do what every tech person does. And I'll just use this guy as an example. But I think the reason why they use him is because he's a very good example of a lot of things. So this is Iyi Aboyeji. He's the CEO of Flutterwave and co-founded Adela. So like he's really rich because these are like 2 multi-million-dollar companies. But like when he was 19, he was already working on software development with booknet.com, I think. He's not old now, he's like 27. So right now, before he didn't just become this example that we all use to talk to people, he started working on it really early, and he started like applying himself and picking up things, because that's really important. This is me. Yeah. So when I was 19, I created a game called Water Bubble. It's if you play the normal game where they give us in party parks, where you press those buttons and the rings go up. So I created a mobile version of it, and admittedly, it's okay. It's a bit impressive, but like the only reason why it made such a wave, because like there were a lot of articles on it, because I was 19. You'll notice in every article there they wrote 19-year-old university student, blah blah blah, because it's generally the younger you are, anything you do, the more impressive it is. So while there are people out there, there are established game developers who have made admittedly more complex games or better games, they might not have had this much exposure because they are not 19. So like while we're still young, 19 is young, 20 is young, 21 is young, hopefully, because I'm 21. But like while we still can, we should try to do what we can right now so that we can be more impressive than we actually are to the populace. Aside from doing things while you're young, doing things that are young is also an impressive way to like explore. Speak. I mentioned how I work for Emisi 3D. They are a virtual reality creation lab. So they create virtual reality solutions to existing problems. And while, like Mr. Olushola said, these are like new technologies, data science, AI, IoT, all these buzzwords that we're hearing. So because not much people, or very few people had delved into virtual reality here in Nigeria and Africa, since they're like the pioneers, anybody in Africa, anybody that wants to know anything virtual reality comes to them, or comes to us, since I'm still part of it. You get? So there's this pioneer benefit you get when you start on things that are still early, and when you do things like that. Now you might think, okay, I'm using myself as an example, but like, okay, I have articles, but like, where's the money? This guy is Robert Ney. He created this game called Bubble Ball. It's this puzzle game where you control a ball around some puzzles, and his game earned $2 million in 2 weeks. And now it's a pretty impressive game. I'm not going to like talk down the game, but he made this game before he was, I can't remember the exact age. I wrote in my speaker. I think he was like 12 or so when he made this, and everybody's there like, this 12-year-old created this or something. Let's download, let's put money into it. So basically the point I'm trying to pass across is the younger or the earlier you start to do something, the better it is for you. I mean, look at Nigeria. We're behind on so many things, and that might be one of our problems. So the earlier you do some things, or the earlier you jump on something new, the better it is fundamentally. So yeah, arigato gozaimasu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tadi. Celebrate him one more time, please. Celebrate him. The earlier, the better for you. There are opportunities that you see online. British Council wants to sponsor some people, give grants. They will tell you once you are 35, don't bother to come? When do you want to go? Why would they give a 35-year-old man grant when an 18-year-old boy is looking for the same grant? They know if they give a 35-year-old man, he will go and use it to eat. Because the house is probably full. Please, let us set out early. Set out at dawn. Like my agric teacher will put it when I was in secondary school. He would say, make haste while the sun shines. It's from Osun State. So you see, make your haste while the sun shines. The sun is still shining. Make your haste. I want to encourage us to make haste. You know, when Tolu was saying, I made my first game when I was 19, a lot of people adjusted. They said, when I now said, I'm about, wow, there is opportunity. Don't worry. Bros, some of us will want to contact you to do game for us. You didn't put your contact here. You will come back and dictate your contact. Because personally, I want to collect your contact. I don't know of others, especially people on this side of the auditorium. I didn't point to anybody. I hope you are on Twitter and Instagram. Oh yeah, come and throw it on social media. Please, strictly for business. Some people don't hold biro. Hey, Jesus.
Okay, so my handle is Gazontype. So that's spelled Gazuntype. So Gazontype on Twitter, Instagram, email you can send me. Gazuntype. Yes.
You don't want them to have the number. Okay. So now you can DM on social media and then the number will come through. God bless you. We are gradually wrapping this event, but want to do a video. I'll bring Ola the Raw Poet, and then we'll have the vote of thanks from Faye. Okay, I don't know which one you guys call him. Charles, Faye, Shadia. All right, can we have the video?
I was a government major, which means I had to write a lot of papers. So in college, I was a government major, which means I had to write a lot of papers. Now, when a normal student writes a paper, they might spread the work out a little like this. So, you get started maybe a little slowly, but you get enough done in the first week that with some heavier days later on, everything gets done and things stay civil. And I would want to do that like that. That would be the plan. I would have it all ready to go, but then actually the paper would come along, and then I would kind of do this. And that would happen every single paper. But then came my 90-page senior thesis, a paper you're supposed to spend a year on. I knew for a paper like that, my normal workflow was not an option. It was way too big a project. So I planned things out, and I decided I kind of had to go something like this. This is how the year would go. So I'd start off light, and I'd bump it up in the middle months, and then at the end, I would kick it up into high gear. It's just like a little staircase. How hard could it be to just walk up the stairs? No big deal, right? But then, funniest thing happened. Those first few months, they came and went, and I couldn't quite do stuff. So we had an awesome new revised plan. But then those middle months actually went by, and I didn't really write words. And so we were here. And then 2 months turned into 1 month, which turned into 2 weeks. And one day I woke up with 3 days until the deadline, still not having written a word, And so I did the only thing I could. I wrote 90 pages over 72 hours, pulling not one but 2 all-nighters. Humans are not supposed to pull 2 all-nighters. Sprinted across campus, dove in slow motion, and got it in just at the deadline. I thought that was the end of everything. But a week later, I get a call. And it's the school. And they say, "Is this Tim Urban?" And I say, "Yeah." And they say, "We need to talk about your thesis." And I say, "Okay." And they say, "It's the best one we've ever seen." That did not happen. It was a very, very bad thesis. I just wanted to enjoy that one moment when all of you thought, "This guy is amazing." No, it was very, very bad. Anyway, today I'm a writer, blogger guy. I write the blog Wait, But Why? And a couple of years ago, I decided to write about procrastination. My behavior has always perplexed the non-procrastinators around me, and I wanted to explain to the non-procrastinators of the world what goes on in the heads of procrastinators and why we are the way we are. Now, I had a hypothesis that the brains of procrastinators were actually different than the brains of other people. And to test this, I found an MRI lab that actually let me scan both my brain and the brain of a proven non-procrastinator, so I could compare them, and I actually brought them here to show you today, and I want you to take a look carefully to see if you can notice a difference. And I know that if you're not a trained brain expert, it's not that obvious, but just take a look, okay? So here's the brain of a non-procrastinator. Now, here's my brain. There is a difference. Both brains have a rational decision maker in them, but the procrastinator's brain also has an instant gratification monkey. Now, what does this mean for the procrastinator? Well, it means everything's fine until this happens. So the rational decision maker will make the rational decision to do something productive, but the monkey doesn't like that plan. So he actually takes the wheel and he says, "Actually, let's read the entire Wikipedia page of the Nancy Kerrigan-Tanya Harding scandal because I just remembered that happened." Then we're going to go over to the fridge. We're going to see if there's anything new in there since 10 minutes ago. After that, we're going to go on a YouTube spiral that starts with videos of Richard Feynman talking about magnets and ends much, much later with us watching interviews with Justin Bieber's mom. All of that's going to take a while, so we're not going to really have room on the schedule for any work today. Sorry. Now, what is going on here? The instant gratification monkey does not seem like a guy you want behind the wheel. He lives entirely in the present moment. He has no memory of the past, no knowledge of the future, and he only cares about 2 things: easy and fun. Now, in the animal world, that works fine. If you're a dog and you spend your whole life doing nothing other than easy and fun things, you're a huge success. And to the monkey, humans are just another animal species. He has to keep well slept, well fed, and propagating into the next generation, which in tribal times might have worked okay. But if you haven't noticed, now we're not in tribal times. We're in an advanced civilization, and the monkey does not know what that is, which is why we have another guy in our brain, the rational decision maker, who gives us the ability to do things no other animal can do. We can visualize the future. We can see the big picture. We can make long-term plans. And he wants to take all of that into account, and he wants to just have us do whatever makes sense to be doing right now. Now, sometimes it makes sense to be doing things that are easy and fun, like when you're having dinner or going to bed or enjoying well-earned leisure time. That's why there's an overlap. Sometimes they agree. But other times, it makes much more sense to be doing things that are harder and less pleasant for the sake of the big picture, and that's when we have a conflict. And for the procrastinator, that conflict tends to end a certain way every time, leaving him spending a lot of time in this orange zone, an easy and fun place that's entirely out of the make sense circle. I call it the dark playground. Now, the dark playground is a place that all of you procrastinators out there know very well. It's where leisure activities happen at times when leisure activities are not supposed to be happening. The fun you have in the dark playground isn't actually fun because it's completely unearned and the air is filled with guilt, dread, anxiety, self-hatred, all those good procrastinator feelings. And the question is, in this situation with the monkey behind the wheel, how does the procrastinator ever get himself over here to this blue zone, a less pleasant place, but where really important things happen? Well, turns out that the procrastinator has a guardian angel, someone who's always looking down on him and watching over him in his darkest moments, someone called the panic monster. Now, the panic monster is dormant most of the time, but he suddenly wakes up anytime a deadline gets too close or there's danger of public embarrassment, a career disaster, or some other scary consequence. And importantly, he's the only thing that the monkey is terrified of. Now, he became very relevant in my life pretty recently because the people of TED reached out to me about 6 months ago and invited me to do a TED Talk. Now, of course, I said yes. It's always been a dream of mine to have done a TED Talk in the past. But in the middle of all this excitement, the rational decision maker seemed to have something else in his mind. He was saying, are we clear on what we just accepted? Do we get what's going to be now happening one day in the future? We need to sit down and work on this right now. And the monkey said, totally agree, but also let's just open Google Earth and let's zoom into the bottom of India, like 200 feet above the ground, and we're going to scroll up for 2.5 hours till we get to the top of the country so we can get a better feel for India. So that's what we did that day. As 6 months turned into 4, and then 2, and then 1, the people of TED decided to release the speakers. And I opened up the website, and there was my face staring right back at me, and guess who woke up? So the panic monster starts losing his mind, and a few seconds later, the whole system's in mayhem. And the monkey, who, remember, he's terrified of the panic monster, boom, he's up the tree. And finally, the rational decision maker can take the wheel and I can start working on the talk. Now, the panic monster explains all kinds of pretty insane procrastinator behavior, like how someone like me could spend 2 weeks unable to start the opening sentence of a paper and then miraculously find the unbelievable work ethic to stay up all night and write 8 pages. And this entire situation with the 3 characters, this is the procrastinator's system. It's not pretty, but in the end, it works. And this is what I decided to write about on the blog just a couple years ago. Now, when I did, I was amazed by the response. Literally thousands of emails came in from all different kinds of people, from all over the world, doing all different kinds of things. These were people who were nurses and bankers and painters and engineers and lots of PhD students. And they were all writing saying the same thing. I have this problem too. But what struck me was the contrast between the light tone of the post and the heaviness of these emails. These people were writing with intense frustration about what procrastination had done to their lives, about what this monkey had done to them. And I thought about this, and I said, if the procrastinator system works, then what's going on? Why are all these people in such a dark place? Well, it turns out that there's 2 kinds of procrastination. Everything I've talked about today, the examples I've given, they all have deadlines. And when there's deadlines, the effects of procrastination are contained to the short term because the panic monster gets involved. But there's a second kind of procrastination that happens in situations when there is no deadline. So if you want to have a career where you want to be a self-starter, something in the arts, something entrepreneurial, there's no deadlines on those things at first because nothing's happening at first, not until you've gone out and done the hard work to get some momentum, to get things going. There's also all kinds of important things outside of your career that don't involve any deadlines, like seeing your family or exercising and taking care of your health, working on your relationship or getting out of a relationship that isn't working. Now, if procrastinator's only mechanism of doing these hard things is the panic monster, that's a problem because in all of these non-deadline situations, the the panic monster doesn't show up. He has nothing to wake up for. So the effects of procrastination, they're not contained. They just extend outward forever. And it's this long-term kind of procrastination that's much less visible and much less talked about than the funnier, short-term, deadline-based kind. It's usually suffered quietly and privately, and it can be the source of a huge amount of long-term unhappiness and regrets. And I thought, that's why these people are emailing, and that's why they're in such a bad place. It's not that they're cramming for some project. It's that long-term procrastination has made them feel like a spectator at times in their own lives. The frustration was not that they couldn't achieve their dreams, it's that they weren't even able to start chasing them. So I read these emails and I had a little bit of an epiphany that I don't think non-procrastinators exist. That's right, I think all of you are procrastinators. Now, you might not all be a mess, like some of us, and some of you may have a healthy relationship with deadlines. But remember, the monkey's sneakiest trick is when the deadlines aren't there. Now, I want to show you one last thing. I call this a life calendar. That's one box for every week of a 90-year life. That's not that many boxes, especially since we've already used a bunch of those. So I think we need to all take a long, hard look at that calendar. And we need to think about what we're really procrastinating on, because everyone is procrastinating on something in life. We need to stay aware of the instant gratification monkey. That's a job for all of us. And because there's not that many boxes on there, it's a job that should probably start today. Well, maybe not today, but sometime soon. Thank you.
What are you procrastinating about? It's a very interesting talk. And, some of us were already thinking, this guy is speaking for us. Because I procrastinate a lot. I almost procrastinated not coming to TEDxElizadeUniversity today. You understand? I almost said, can't we make it tomorrow? Charles, can't we move that event till tomorrow? So that, I need to sleep. I need to rest. Let us wake up and face reality. Somebody said, eat that frog. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite my brother, my friend, Ola the Raw Poet, to take us on the next level, which will be a transition into the wrap-up. Put your hands together once again for Ola the Raw Poet. You want to do magic?
Thank you very much. Most leaders from yesterday are eating the future. Many leaders of tomorrow are on a codeine diet. And the future generation leaders are still feeding from the breast milk. I just told a story. Now, this is the significance of that story. It is the past, the present, and the future. Everything we do at every point in time is a story. From you sitting on that chair to me standing before this camera talking to you, it is a story. So, how do we write a good story? My name is Ola Adene. You can call me a poetic social worker. And I'm here to talk to you about writing right in a wrong society. Writing right in a wrong society. But then, don't find it funny or a little unbelieving if I'm not actually going to be taking you on a course on how to write. You can consult a literature professor or a literature student. Since we are not science students, you can consult someone in the school of literature to do that. But then, I'm here to tell you that every single thing that we do, every single day, is a story. Time that you didn't do right, the time that you brought in that fine sister and you were thinking that your little one would not notice. You know, he noticed, he had read it. That's the script you brought before him. So he had read it, and when you were no longer there, when he's a little mature, he just wants to try what you did before him. That's the story. A wrong story at that. But then you wrote it in the front of the child. So the child saw it and it became a movie that the child wanted to act. You know, you wear the tight leggings revealing all portions of your body and you care less because your younger sister is actually little, so she wouldn't care, she wouldn't know. But then she saw the movie, she pictured a theater like this in her head and she wanted to act it. So don't judge her, don't call her prostitute. It's not her fault. It's what the society gave her. It's what she saw. That's the movie. That's the script that she was given. So how do we write right in a wrong society? How do we write right in a wrong society? It's simple. It's for us to live right. Now let me ask you, if you happen to be in a traffic, let's take Ojauba for example, and the traffic warden isn't there, the police officers aren't there, would you stop for the traffic? Perhaps if you do, the person blowing on behind you will tell you that you are wrong. If you meet an elderly man that is supposed to cross the road, that is waiting to cross the road, but because he's aged and he can't afford to cross the road hurriedly, stop by. Perhaps if people queuing up behind you will tell you that you are wrong. Perhaps if you choose not to be perhaps if you choose to be the only one who would not do G or that will not ask for money from the dude, perhaps the whole society will label you wrong because the society believes that good is already wrong and wrong it is what is right. But then the society that is wrong tells us that everyone helps those who helps themselves. I asked the question, who wrote that script? Who says? See, I've become so religious to understand that even if God and everyone wants to help you, He doesn't need your help. He helps you because He chooses to help you. He's not going to help you because He wants you to help yourself first. Come on, we've read about Him being all-knowing, all-pleasant, all-beautiful. So if He wants to help you, He helps you. The society tells you that you can't make it if you go through the right and direct way. So you have to look for crooked ways. You know, they tell the queen that, no, it's pageantry. If you go for pageantry, you are a bad girl, you are wayward. It's not a good thing for a homely girl to go into modeling. You know, they tell you stuff like that. But then, I want to ask the question that, who says? See, the truth is just that we live in a wrong society. And for us to right this wrong, all we have to do is to start thinking and doing right. And it begins this way. Open your hands. Will you? Open your hands. What do you have in your hands? What you have in your hand is the creativity that has been deposited in you. Nelson Mandela is dead and is long gone. Next month, I believe, will make 100 years. But the legacies, the impact that he has left would even linger on when and I think all of us here are gone. What am I trying to say? I'm telling you that the movies that we act are what people that comes after us will see. Picture in their brain, create a movie out of and live. You know, we live in a society of imitation. People love to imitate a lot. So I would, because of the time, I would be telling my own story with my own creativity. That's how we are going to write right in a wrong society. So please, okay, it's my pleasure, sir. I have water spare art with me already. We'll be doing a fusion of our own story. We'll be doing what we know how to do. We'll be doing creativity, writing right in a wrong society. So this story is about greed, and I think this is the most humble man I've ever met. Please celebrate him for me, please. Thank you very much. So shall we begin? Just go ahead. This ball is green. This fruit also is green. They are both green. But if I eat this ball, I'll put my teeth to misery. And if I decide to play this fruit on the lawn, I'll give myself away to mockery. Welcome to the PhD class of one man's food is another man's poison. Now, if I may ask you, are you aware also that one man's destiny is another man's point of exit? You are one man out of many. And see, even if you are a lady, this class has no gender inequality. You have been carved from the ribs of one man. So listen, one man. And listen up, woman. Don't leave your real track to board another man's flight. You'd eat calamity. Your face will bruise. The cord in your spine will lose. Your devastation will be brute, fatality. And even if you are Olarotimi, I wouldn't let you blame the gods this time for your own mediocrity. For how can you blame a God who keeps calling out in his voice so deafening, yet your ears were blocked? What a pity. So, one man took one corner on a one-night stand, had a quickie, and contacted STD, socially transmitted dejection. That's what I mean. Hence, he died. Of frustration, of depression, of insufficient maximization, he died. See, one man died with a green cap turned backwards over his head in a never-to-be-wished-for posture. He didn't die with a red cap. We could have called him a chief. We could have said, long live the chief. But with a green cap of greed, he died. He was seeking for a greener pasture, but he had taken the wrong drive, so he met with a caricature of greed, and he died. See now, I need another man who wouldn't make the mistake of this man. I need one man who is readily available to grow, but he wouldn't chase shadows. I need one man who sets his mind like a camera in the hand of this guy, or even T.Y. Bello, to capture something beautiful, click, rainbow. I need one man who understands that the other man's fancy shoe of yesterday is out of vogue today. And just as the transition from the old school to this new school, the future will still experience a transmission into another school. And I'm not talking about this university or your dad's private school. Shall we call it the work school, where we only have to be awake to the things that we can do. So, why not stay awake to the things that you can do while there's still light on your candle? Do you understand, one man? Do you understand, woman? I hope you do. I hope we do too. Thank you very much.
Please put your hands together for Ola the Raw Poet and the Walter Spearheart. You know, I don't know the English to use. You know, you people that went to private, that are in private university now, you go and speak one English that is not correct. You people will write it down and post it on social media. It's not before that they will write it in, you know, during our own time, you write it in piece of paper. You just be documenting. When you now get to the hostel, you now bring it out. You now be making jest of that person. That one doesn't happen now. Immediately, it's on Twitter. Bros, is it picture or recording? So that if I go and tab on, you will not go and post on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, celebrate yourself one more time. I really wish this would continue and continue and continue, and we will not end. And like a Yoruba adage will say, it is our wish to munch the meat in the mouth for long, but the esophagus. Do we have Yoruba students in this school? They should give me PhD like that with my annual gufo. Will not allow us. Ladies and gentlemen, to give us a final word, make welcome Mr. Charles Feishade Adeyemi. He was thinking I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll not call him. Maybe you should still wait so that I will still be enjoying ourselves. Please put your hands together for him. Very wonderful idea. God bless you. So I think it should be a standing ovation. If you've been impacted, come on, stand up and put those hands together for him and his team.
May you be seated, please. Homage to the Creator. When a fowl drinks water, it raises its head to give homage to the Creator. If it does not accord with the will of the Creator, man's plans come to naught. TEDxElizadeUniversity participants, as we know, we have come basically to the end of today's event, but it is the beginning of a new level of experiencing for every one of us as we go out to the world shaping the future. This would not have happened without the contributions of several different persons. This would not have happened without the founder of Elizade University having the vision to shape the future in the first place by starting this wonderful university. Can we please give a round of applause for Chief Michael Adeojo? Ladies and gentlemen, without you, there will be no me. Of course, you're not my parents, and of course, you did not biologically give birth to me, but I stand before you today as a TEDx organizer of an event that has taken place. And if you were not in the hall, the event would not have taken place, and I would not be the person I am as at this moment, because I would then be a different person, a person who set out at, not exactly dawn, but who set out to organize a TEDx event, and it did not happen. But you have ensured that that is not the case by your presence, by going through the process of registration, by actually physically being in the hall, by waiting throughout from the beginning up till now. I want to say that you guys are the champions. Please give yourself a round of applause. TEDxElizade University was deliberately crowdfunded because we felt that this event should be some kind of community project. This event should be funded by those of us who feel very strongly about this kind of event. And because of that, we actually did not request from management to finance this event. And we went around and amongst ourselves and raised the little funds we could to make this happen. And several persons have supported in this regard. I have the whole team of volunteers, which I will later talk about. But before then, some staff of Elizade University have been wonderful in supporting us Professor Koya from Faculty of Engineering, who is not on seat. Dr. Ayola was here almost throughout, but he's not on seat now. Ms. Holarinde, Mr. Ayodabo. I don't know, there's so many, I do not have every name on my head, but yes, quite a number of staff have been very supportive in cash, in kind, and in other ways. This is a very significant, reality that we must appreciate significantly of the facilities we have made use of, from the event hall to the accommodation for staff, for guest speakers, to the live streaming. Internet is very expensive. We all know that. Power, actually, we're running on generator. Even though there's power, there's NEPA, we're actually deliberately running on generator just to ensure a smooth flow of this event. Please, a round of applause for the management of Elizade University for this. And also, as I speak to you right now, there is a global community of TED stars who actually are behind everything we have seen here. TEDx events are a license, they are a franchise. We must appreciate the TED itself and also the global community of TED stars who support in various ways with templates for every single thing that we do. It's shared communally, and so many speakers have spoken about the importance of working together in community, which we have experienced, which my volunteers, my team know that we have experienced. Some of you sitting here today would not know that as at 2:30 a.m., I was here, Ikechi was here, Orobosa was here, MM was here, Emperor was here, several guys were here, even some of our speakers were here with us. That's into the morning. People normally say into the night, but this is into the morning. A round of applause for my team. At this juncture, I know I've missed out so many persons' names. I obviously cannot just write out everybody's name. I would like my co-organizer, first of all, my co-organizer, Orobosa Ikpomwe, to kindly join me on stage. I would like Shijoke, Ikechi, Chukwuigwe. These are wonderful guys that have been working incredibly in the past few weeks to make this happen. Okay, Faith Lelo, the entire TEDxElizadeUniversity University team, please. Let's be up here. Please encourage them as they come forward. TEDxElizadeUniversity University team, where there's several of us. These guys are incredible guys. They actually shape in the future. Literally, it's not just by talking. Talking is very important. Some people say that, oh, it's just like this event is a speaking event. People say, well, talk is cheap. But I say, if talk is cheap, then everybody should keep quiet. So instead, I'd rather say that, it is, well done better than well said, just like there's a musician that says that. Jidena. All right, so he says well done better than well said. So yeah, well said is good, but well done is even better. And there's so many volunteers left. Lola, Awa, everybody, please. If you know you are part of a TEDxElizadeUniversity University team, please come on stage, please. This is our time. There's no other time after this. And I hope we are getting pictures. So this guys, Sam Olowokere is a FUTA student. And he is part of TEDxElizadeUniversity University team. And also Faith Ogunlade. Please appreciate these guys. When I was going through the forms, because we called for volunteers and it was broadcasted, people volunteered from everywhere. And also even attendance, people have come, some have come as far as Lagos. My friend Rolly Maye Afinota is in the audience there, all the way from Lagos. Dimeji Olaiya, probably stepped out of the hall now, in the audience. And several of my friends from Lagos, from Ibadan, from everywhere. Please, let's appreciate these folks. There is somebody in the audience from FUTA who said in his form that he wants to be given the ticket because we can only take 100 people in a TEDx university event for licensees that are yet to go to a TED global conference. So this event is meant for 100 persons. So we had to put in some strict measures in selecting participants. That's why we asked you to tell us why we should give you the ticket. And somebody from FUTA said, please, give me the ticket because I want to organize TEDx FUTA. And I said, please give him the ticket. And guess what? That was exactly what I said last year, July, when I was filling the form for TEDx Yaba, Lagos, where I met Tadia Jiboye, for instance. It's not on seat now. I told them that, please give me the ticket because I want to organize TEDxElizadeUniversity University. That goes to show you that the planning for this is more than 1 year old. As a matter of fact, planning for these dates back to 2010 when I was based in Lagos and I was living next door to Walter Spearhart and Dimeji Olaiya and so many of the guys who are here. And we actually wanted to have a TEDx event in VI, TEDx Youth we called it at that time, and I was, in the team. It actually did not work out then, but it has worked out today. I know I've spoken for so long and given this vote of thanks, but kindly indulge me. Please, a round of applause for this wonderful team. Thank you very much. Sorry, please. I still on the vote of thanks, even though I said it's over. My powerful comrade here, Ayo Ajishafe, fellow Toastmasters, Sunshine Toastmasters Akure. It's been wonderful. It's been incredible. And not just him, also Shegun Omojola, who's just left. And also the musicians, Dobel Jones. I think you should actually join us. Dobel Jones on stage. This guy is a wonderful musician. I mean, you need to go find out what he's doing on, in social media handles. I think that must be Dobel Jones. Where is Penduro? Penduro, who's been a, DJ, producer, and what have you. He's also a musician, actually. They gave us the TEDxElizadeUniversity theme song, Shaping the Future. And these are all pro bono. Everybody here is pro bono. The speakers, none is paid. MC is not paid. He is not paid. Nobody is paid. Most of the speakers are not on, in the room right now, but we really, really need to appreciate these wonderful speakers. Representing the other speakers that are not on stage, I'm going to call to join us the ones that are here now. They are not paid to do this. At least 2 speakers are about to come from abroad. Somebody had to, I won't mention the person's name, rescheduled flights from Brazil in order to be here. Another one rescheduled from USA in order to be here, and so on. But they are here nevertheless, and they've done so wonderfully well. Salim Ibrahim, kindly join us on stage. Great debater. Imideshola Shitu, Queen Moremi Ajasoro. I'm sure she will be saying, this Mr. Adeyemi does not want to call me Queen Moremi. Okay, and Ola Adene actually got to know that he would be a TEDx speaker only last night because Kennedy Ekezie, who is the British Queen Young Leader 2018, he got that award just 2 nights ago. He's supposed to be the last speaker for today, deliberately, because his flight was to arrive in Lagos on the 27th, so that he comes here. Unfortunately, the flight had some issues, so that he cannot be in Nigeria until Saturday. And so just last night, when we confirmed that Kennedy Ekezie, Queen's Young Leader, cannot make it, I contacted this my brother, and I said, guy, give me a topic, man. And he just killed it, right? So let's appreciate him. Ade Balogun is on our way back to Lagos. Olushola Musan is on his way back to Lagos. Lillian David, every single speaker here, they've been incredibly wonderful. Kindly, a rapturous applause for everybody. Thank you very much at last.
On behalf of me and myself, I want to thank you all for being a wonderful audience. Please celebrate yourself one more time. Thank you very much. You can have their seats. The seats are not your own, so you can have Elizade's seat. Ladies and gentlemen, we are putting an end to people coming here to talk, but the event is actually not over. There is room for networking. There is light music. My name is Ayokunle Ajishafe. I am an entertainer. God bless you. See you soon.
I got a head full of ideas and a heart filled with love, yeah. Even though I got nightmares, see man, I show no fear. Oh, I no. Sauces don't come easy unless I work. Oh, no. Nobody get things done when they just talk. So I put my walk in it. Me no believe in luck and talking it. Right here we're making things happen. Shaping the future. It starts today, yeah, it starts with me. So I put my walk in it.
I would encourage us to come on stage and take pictures for social media and all of that with the banner. You know, before you leave, take pictures with the speakers, with everybody. Get somebody's phone number and so on. Network. Promote your business, promote yourself, shape the future. Thank you very much.
Sunday to Saturday, shaping the future that's every day. Shape the future now. You gotta start today. I got a head full of ideas and a pocket full of my fears. Got a past full of my tears, but today's looking bright, yeah. And tomorrow may be tight, yeah. But I'm grateful for my strength, though I'm not where I wanna be. But I'm grateful for life, yeah. I know there's riches in my mind. Gotta find a way to let it flow and make it easier for mankind. Let the young know that there is hope. The motivation is divine. Just like I said, I know I can grow, and I know that what I sow, yeah, I'ma reap back 1,000-fold. It all start today, shaping the future. We start today. Shape the future now. You gotta shaping the future. You gotta start today. Sunday to Saturday, shaping the future that's every day. Shape the future now. You gotta shaping the future. You gotta start today. Boom, by your condolence, Billy Yam, blood, one love. Say me, I say, if you wanna shape the future now, you gotta start today. You gotta start today, shaping the future. You gotta start today. You gotta start today.
My name is Bolu. I enjoyed your so I just wanted to, like, are you online, like, Instagram?
I am Dr.
D-O-P-E-E-L.
D-I-A-M D-O-P-E-L.
D-O-P-E-L, not dope and E-L.
Dope L-E. Yourself.
Thank you. So, I'm a scriptwriter now. So,
Okay.
like, I'm actually planning on currently specializing on music also.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe anytime I could just
Yeah.
contact.
Let me have your WhatsApp number. I'll just pause. You got WhatsApp, right?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Bolu.
Yes, the night was hands down the best night of my life. Whoever knows, I don't want you out of my sight. Even with more than 2 lifetimes, I can't get enough of you.
They play that again. I sent it.
'Cause I love you truly, please don't you leave me. Oh, don't go away. Just want you with me. Don't make me your history. Oh, that's why I say,
You say?
please, please, please.
Who they play again?
Oh, please, 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 please. Teach me how to love you right. How to love you right. Breakfast in bed, anything for you. You rest instead, and I'll take the keys is cool. Keys on your head every 5 minutes. And the thing that make you love me, swear I'll do it. 'Cause I love you truly. Please don't you leave me. Oh, don't go away. Just want you in.
Hello, we need TEDxElizadeUniversity team on stage